to look really strong. It really does get this team advantages in his own lane a lot of the time, which is a really good sign, as well as Jimmy picking up a bit of the slack that maybe he didn't in the spring split. But headed now into the draft phase, Nico will be banned on blue side by CFO, as well as that Jace, so not likely to see the Jace-Tristana matchup, of course. Kai'Sa the answer here. I like the Kai'Sa ban. It's starting to feel like Kai'Sa just has to be banned.
Yeah, Kai'Sa's looking like a superpower pick here. And I'm really surprised that after all the games we've seen so far in Split 2, we've not seen a single mid lane Nico game, which feels really strange. I guess, I mean, it has been banned a lot, but sometimes it just falls through. Sometimes it even goes to other lanes. So I'm really surprised that we haven't seen that at all. But there's been a lot of surprises, right? Like LeBlanc seems like it hasn't really found much purchase here in the PCS, despite looking very dominant overseas. Vi will be that last ban, which means one of Maokai or Sejuani is getting through. Tristana could be up as well.
Yeah, I feel like at this point you just leave both of them up. I don't really see what else. Maybe you can just ban the Tristana. Or you could also look to ban one of those junglers, leave the Tristana open, because then you either get the jungle or the Tristana. But it will be the Tristana banned. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Maokai I would like to see picked up first. But Gemini has played quite a bit of Sejuani, so maybe he's preferring that champ. But I definitely expect jungler to be the first pick.
Yeah, probably will be. Quinn hovered here, probably a troll pick, but Quinn has been getting played mid and top in solo queue with Shiv. So it could be a champ that gets picked up, you know, maybe later in the draft. Would not expect it to be first pick though. And Renekton first pick.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so Renekton is the lock-in.
Surely West Point now just go what? Sedge Jax? Feels like that's a really good answer. I am surprised by the Renekton win rate is very high, and it has been looking very good, but I feel like it's so much better if you get it with the Sedge, and you know if you first pick it that they are just going to take Jack Sedge, so I'm not too sure. Now CFO probably will look towards the Maokai.
Ooh, okay. I like that. What do you pick into the Azir now? I mean, there's the Ahri. Should do okay. Like Poppy the Hover.
Ooh, okay. I mean, I like the Poppy here as well. I think it is feels pretty solid overall, and it is locked in for Gemini.
There we go.
And Jimmy unlocks in the Azir. Okay, so what do you pick? Ideally, if you want to play for the 1v1, something like Victor or Syndra is very good, but the problem is getting ganked at level 6. Azir is great gank setup, and that lends you more towards, you know, the likes of the Ahri or the LeBlanc band, of course, and Orianna, the hover here. I think after the Azir changes, Azir used to counter Orianna, but I think now Orianna can do well in lane. I'd really be worried for Nuli at level 6, though. It looks like he's going to drop his mid, maybe needs more time to think about it. They pick up the Xayah.
Yeah, okay, so now we're into bans. I almost think that CFO should just be banning out mids here. I mean, you might just be forced to ban out the Rakan as well.
Yeah.
But mids does seem like a good option. Give Azir a bit more safety in his lane, and we know what Azir can do in the later stages. Once he gets some items online, it's very, very hard to deal with him. We've seen what Pretender's been able to do as well as Minji yesterday. In fact, Minji did it to Jimmy, and so maybe a bit of inspiration.
Could be. I think Azir also functions very well into this short-range composition. If there is no poke coming out, you know, the likes of the Kai'Sa, the LeBlanc, the Jace, it's very easy for Azir just to play in those team fights. His biggest weakness really is the poke. Now, something we could see, bit of a wild card, is the Corki up against the Azir. So you used to see it a lot, and Azir actually used to beat Corki in lane a lot harder than he does now. Obviously, the Corki builds aren't as good as they used to be, but I think you could go something like Shiv into AP. Could be a good build. Haven't seen it yet, but something we could see. It does give you mobility and allows you to scale quite well into him.
Plus, it gives you some of the best objective control too, as long as you're saving that package around the Dragon timers, Baron timers. Does offer a lot, but it is going to be a Aphelios and Varus ban from West Point, so limiting that AD carry pull down the bot lane for Shun, but he should be just fine. I don't think he will be too worried about that, as Rakan is taken away, so you will not see the Xayah Rakan matchup. Second ban here, I think should just go towards a mid laner.
Yeah, I actually think you should just ban out a hard carry mid like Victor or something. Okay, they banned Nautilus. I honestly feel like even if Nuli picks up Ahri here, maybe it's okay for the matchup. Like, it's good early, doesn't get ganked. I don't think it's enough damage for this team. I feel like they're going to need more. And also, they've got the Poppy into it, Akali. Ooh. So this is something that used to get picked into Azir a lot, mainly because it gives you that mobility, so you're not getting ganked too much by the Azir at 6, and it's got very good skirmishing into Azir. I honestly think I would have liked the Akali more. They end up going for the Ahri, so once again, this does get priority versus Azir early. It's got a good 1v1 and it doesn't get ganked, but I really worry about the lack of damage coming out from Ahri Sejuani, because it doesn't feel like there's actually any pressure put onto Azir. And if they lock in the Jinx, CFO, they're going to scale so well into this game.
Yeah, just learning from yesterday, perhaps. Obviously, CFO's loss, first loss of the season, it was against an Azir and Jinx, and they have locked it in for themselves here, and I would like to see the Thresh, Chelsea, prominently playing these hook champions. We actually have, I think we haven't seen him on the Thresh yet. I could be wrong. Oh, lock that in.
I think he's just trying to scare him.
I want to see the Blitzcrank.
I think the Thresh is probably the best pick.
Me too.
But we'll see what they end up going for. If Shun's confident positioning against this without the Thresh, then I think Alistar obviously is pretty good. We'll see what the last pick is here. Have seen the entire composition. Kind of think you definitely need something tanky though. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I think it's hard to pick supports into Poppy, honestly. Just feels like Poppy's a really underrated champ right now. It kind of shuts down a lot of the meta picks.
I kind of feel like Rel might be better than the Leona. Ooh. I don't like that much. It's good for lane.
Yeah, I kind of understand why they picked it. Like you said, it's good for lane, and I think it is good against the likes of Poppy and Renekton. But the problem is, again, sure, you get more backline DPS with this, but you're not going to outdamage Azir and Jinx. It's not possible, not with what you have. And so I think West Point, they're kind of doing what they can to counter the comp without really having a strong theme or a strong comp of their own. And I'm a little bit worried about that, so I'm really liking what CFO have. If there is a way into this game for West Point, I think strong bot lane matchup, decent mid lane matchup early, and they do have strong skirmishing with Sejuani and Jax, but they really have to leverage that, because otherwise, CFO, they're going to run away with this one. The longer the game goes, the worse it gets for West Point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we saw yesterday against CFO. Again, I know I keep bringing it up, but it really was. It looked like Azir and Jinx pretty much just was able to take over the entire game, barring a few mistakes. But you feel like Jimmy and Shun aren't the type of players to make positional mistakes, at least very often. And having Shun now on a hyper carry is extremely scary. I think Onus is here on the bot lane of West Point to try and shut down and not allow Shun to get ahead of his lane, especially knowing that you should have advantage just pretty much based on supports alone. The Xayah Lulu should be a little bit more powerful than the Alistar paired with the Jinx. But we'll have to see. I mean, Shun shall see. A very scary bot lane in their own right, and I have to feel like edge definitely towards CFO for this one.
And is Jimmy wearing his jacket backwards?
I think so.
That's
I'm
bold.
pretty sure he is.
I like that. Shows the name on the front then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that.
Everyone knows who this guy is. Now, where do you think, if you are going to be West Point coming here to try take a game, with the current composition, what do you think you're looking for? What are you looking for 665 to do, as well as the laners?
I think if you can put Jinx behind, you know, really take advantage of the fact that you have that winning bot 2v2, and then maybe slowly transition that into some early drags, I think you could take over this game early. Like, if you could do what CFO do and hit a drag cell around 24 minutes, I think that could be a way to win this game, but it feels so hard. I mean, are you really going to be able to do that against CFO, who, of all teams, are probably the best at that? Does feel tough.
More level 1 shenanigans. This has started to pick up a little bit more here in the PCS.
Yeah.
I think, as you've pointed out a couple times, it is simply because you are against that double range matchup, and Alistar, I've said it before, is an absolute pinata until he's at least level 2. But even here in this matchup, you're really going to struggle to find timings where you can look for that headbutt pulverize, because going forward into Xayah is a really, really hard thing to do. But I think all things considered, the bot lane should heavily favor West Point, but it is always going to come down to how they play the matchup.
Yeah, definitely agree. There is potential that if they do overextend, can be pretty hard punished for it. And CFO's bot lane, just talking about the players, they're very strong in lane, so I wouldn't be surprised if this matchup somehow goes the way of CFO, because we've seen time and time again here in the PCS, just the class of some of the laners allows them to turn around matchups that they should have no right winning. And it is Doran's ring for Jimmian, so just wants to try and get push on this wave. And Nuli, he's gone for a bit more scaling, has the electrocute as opposed to the Airy for the lane. Not sure what he went for in the secondaries. I didn't look. Punched away there.
Yeah, so good. All right, so, I mean, Ari definitely getting priority here. Jimmy actually taking so much damage.
This is the worrying thing, I think, of taking the D-Ring versus the Ari, especially if she does go for that Aerie. It's very hard to trade back. And I really like how Nuli is playing this. I think this is a great way to do it. All really Jimmy needs to do, though, is hit level 6 without falling too far behind, and then he's in a very good position. And he has been able to trade back some damage, so credit to him, but wow. Yeah, Nuli's actually playing this very, very well.
Ooh. We've been finding a nice trade back.
Yeah, Nuli has that corrupting pots, though, and the Ari inbuilt sustain. Big bot wave built up as well, so getting a little bit of damage under that tower, and heavy top trades, too. Just, 665.
665's in the area. Level 3 on the Sejuani. Arctic Assault in the flash will follow up. Is he going to be able to learn the Permafrost? It looks like he will, and it's going to be Rest going down for first blood here.
Yeah, Relia picks it up. And I hope he can do something with this, because if Relia could bring out a big performance up against Rest, I think it would mean so much for his confidence. Ooh, 665, maybe being looked at by Gemini. They both have red buffs.
Yeah, okay. Gemini should have damage advantage. Actually able to dodge out of that flail with the phase rush as, wow, Gemini is taking it to 665. It looked like for a second there Nuli's looking, but the flash hit into the wall. Jungle solo kill here, only 3 minutes in.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. Just abuse that flash deficit that 665 did have there. They're very, very nice. That's, I think, a really big pickup because now Sedge is going to have virtually no impact on the map for a pretty long time here. Now, has gotten Relia ahead, but Relia went and bought a Ruby Crystal. But it feels like he's not really going to be able to push this lead any. We'll see, though.
Yeah, I guess he was not quite enough for the Sheen, which is really important. And I think because he's got this Ruby Crystal, for the most part, the top lane shouldn't change that much, even though First Blood was picked up on Jax.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree. Resty was pushed pretty far up, did have the ward, but it wasn't deep enough to save him. So I think it was a bit of a greedy ward. Probably could have placed it a little further. Almost got out, and did burn 2 sums for it. So it's not the worst death ever, but speaking of worst deaths, I think this one was pretty bad. I think this is just really greedy pathing from 665. He probably could have just based and gone to bot side, but instead he wanted to cross through mid, which does alleviate a bit of pressure, but the problem is if you're found by Gemini, you are just going to be taken out. And that greed, it costs him pretty heavily. And top CS, it's not really going well for Rel here, despite getting that early gank and the kill.
Yeah, I wonder how many minions he's got built up there, but not well. I think it's an understatement if there's not many, because it's going pretty dreadfully. In last game, we saw minions remaining even between the Jax, Renekton, given I think maybe JP wasn't playing it as well as he perhaps could have.
Chelsea's taking a little bit of damage, but nothing he can't handle. And mid lane looks like both mids went for the reset, so I think Jimmy's in probably a fine spot now. Just getting through that first few levels up against the Arias Azir can be kind of hard. Once you hit level 6, can start to take over and obviously have some mobility to get away from some of those ganks that Ari can set up. I feel like Ari Sejuani, not that threatening, and this wave is actually pushing back to Rest, so he's going to have more creeps to farm, and I'm not sure how Relia is down so much, given that he had that gank and the first blood given to him.
I guess sometimes, I didn't see the wave at the time, or at least I don't remember what it looked like, but sometimes you do get that first blood, but you have to recall and the wave's in a really, really bad spot, so it can almost cost you more than you gain.
Yeah, I can kind of agree. Oh, Relia,
okay,
level
Grandmaster's
6.
Bite available here. Isn't going to be able to find anything off it though, and Rest should have Dominus soon, so lane advantage, especially with that cooldown down, should be given over to Rest, but Dragon, importantly, is found here for West Point. So denying CFO their favorite strategy of stacking early dragons.
Yeah, and I think stacking early dragons here for West Point is good as well. I would love... Oh, Nui.
Oh, Emperor's Divide used, Spirit Rush denied, as well as the ground! Gemini! Does he have the movement speed to find it? It doesn't look like it, but my God, how well played.
Yeah, that was so nice from the side of CFO. Azir Poppy, it's a broken combo. You can even Poppy into the Azir wall, so kind of looks good. And I'd love to get a look at top lane, because it looks like Rest actually managed to freeze that wave outside of his tower. So that should make it even better for him. Comes back to this lane and is going to have an even bigger CS lead. Gemini maybe now looking bot. Can Hex Flash over?
Big Flash is available. There are flashes. Chart just uses his, though. He will be going down. It is going to be picked up here by Gemini. His second kill is Chelsea. Headbutting away Prage on that Xayah to make sure he does not go down.
And look, we've talked about the PCS Viego, but have you heard about the PCS Poppy? Because why is every jungler in the league so damn good at it?
Except for Junjia.
And he was solid.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. This Poppy, Gemini finding himself a solo kill as well as what he found in mid. That ground onto Nuli so important. And now the Hex Flash over, finding himself his second kill. It's pretty crazy. I think Poppy, coming into week 2, looks like one of the stronger junglers.
Yeah, definitely seems like the go-to after those top tier ones are banned out, and maybe even with some of them left available. I think the Maokai, right, was up here, but they opt for the Poppy, and that does mean that your mid can play one of those stronger APs, and I think with Tristana and Jace off the board, there aren't that many strong AD mids left, so being able to pick an AD jungler and enable something like the Azir to come through as your solo AP as well is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely, and with that, I think lane and bot lane should still favor Prage and Char, but at least for the time while Flash is down, it is going to be a lot harder for this Lulu to remain safe. Chelsea trying to find himself some farm mid is 665 looking for his second objective of the game here in the Herald. Chelsea up topside though, it should not be legal for this to be taken eventually.
Yeah, okay, so they're starting this up, and Relia does have priority right now, and I think West Point should be able to get this, but what about the fight after?
Okay, so it's 5 members here. I think they'll just be given it. Gemini going to be stunned up. Importantly, is able to get away as Relia, as well as the rest of West Point, do secure this Herald.
Yeah.
But what can Shun get on the backside? He's going to just send up an ult. Actually, massive amount of damage there on Char from the distance traveled.
And that was quite cleverly played there from CFO. Just need to waste a bit of time from West Point, allow Shun to just get more done in the bot lane. And I think even with the Herald going over, you're fine with this as CFO. You know you scale really well, and you've got a goal lead already.
Chelsea.
Yeah, he's in the wings. Does he get... He's not close to level 6, so I don't think he's ever going to be able to get it and dive with it.
Yeah, Relia does have flash, sorry. Oh, he's going to be here for a counter gank, actually. Ooh. Dominus available, so rest while low should be okay. Flash forward, does use the Dominus in time. It's going to be Chelsea now, playing Peel. In fact, he's turned it around. Relia's cleaned up. Cull the Meek. Rest now following up. Is he going to be able to get to 665? At least not for now.
Has ulti now.
Yeah, level 6 on Chelsea. No flash available. Is going to just turn and walk away, but wow, what a turn.
Yeah, that was great skirmishing there from CFO. Chelsea and Rest both played that really, really well. And the presence of mind as well to be up here knowing that there probably is some sort of top play coming soon is really, really nice. To see Chelsea, he waits here for a pretty long time. But I think you kind of know that there will be some top play. You know, the bot lane isn't in lane, and Sage isn't just going to AFK farm. So she looks top at this low HP Renekton and really played on their limits here.
Yeah.
The Rest, he gets out and then is able to flash back in with the empowered Q. Very, very well played.
How much health he gets back.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I think there's a Triumph proc in there as well, but yeah, went from roughly 200 health to what looked like around 800. And in the meantime, Shun, pretty happy down here, just scaling up nice and slowly. Should have picked up a plate, I believe, while that Rift Herald play happened as well, so bunch of XP as well as gold given to Shun. And on the Jinx, you feel really, really good about that.
Definitely do. Getting those items earlier on will make a big difference, especially if they need to end up contesting a third dragon. West Point, I think they should set their eyes on the second one spawning very, very soon. Should still be stronger by this point, for sure, despite those kills going over to Poppy. I wonder, Shunny's got a lot of gold. Will he base now? If they do, they're willingly giving up this drag, which should be fine. Hold that thought, though.
It left some time to think.
Yeah, I think he is going to stay, because the way CFO are positioning kind of suggests they want to fight. And maybe they can. I mean, Poppy has a lot of strength early. Actually, critically, Relia has no TP, and Rest does. So I think if CFO want to fight this, they can. Relia will probably walk down the map. Alternatively, maybe they just go back to pushing lanes, give up a second drag, and just take gold in all 3 lanes.
Yeah, seems good. I think they do want to contest the dragon. At least, even if nothing else, it gives them time to slow down that dragon stacking on the more late game centric team comp. Now, I want to ask you a question. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, but with the Azir ult, Poppy is able to slam people in that for a stun, right? So that just makes, I feel like, the matchup for Nuli now even more scary because if what happened before happens again and Gemini's on a slightly different angle, can just look for that stun and then hold that W for later.
Yeah.
And I think at that stage, especially now with items coming through, Gemini should just have the damage to be able to clear Nuli off the map. Back into live now, though. It looks like Shun's staying, at least for the time being. As Prage walking forward. Deadly Blossom used, but is going to have to just back out. Gemini now going forward. It's going to be okay now. Shall see finding a knockup, but it's on to 665. I don't think they have the damage. In fact, Unbreakable Will here, used from Alistair. That is a massive cooldown. Gemini joining the fray. Could he look for a really nice Empress Divide? He certainly can. It doesn't land though. Char flashes out as Wild Growth is now used onto that Sejuani. Eventually they will find it. Teleport coming in from Nuli. Is he going to be able to turn anything? Ult forward. That's the first Spirit Rush. Charm lands. Gemini is going to go down. Nuli finds out it's a 1-for-1. Very much higher health bars here for the side of West Point as this Rift Herald will crash. Nuli now getting a nice shield there as well as finding some more damage. Charm will go wide. And that looks like it will be all as 665 headed back onto the map, down to bot side. Have to think he's going to start trying to contest for this dragon.
Yeah, I wonder who actually ends up getting this. Because West Point, they have a bit of tempo right now, but they haven't reset, so we'll be sitting on a lot of gold. And I feel like we've seen some very well executed skirmishes here, but I don't think this was one of them. Jimmy going in early. I do kind of like this. Gets the double flash out early, but I think maybe the Poppy stun wasn't the best. They have to commit very far ahead. And I wonder if Rest should have just TP'd to this. Maybe at this point when Ari's kind of committed. He probably was just busy top lane, but as we go back to live.
Yeah, fight is breaking out. Looks like on our screens at least, Prage has gone down.
Yeah.
Dragon was picked up by West Point though.
They did get it. Second Dragon is good for them. But I'm worrying about CFO pulling ahead in the gold, given that they do have this scaling composition. It was Rest who invested TP to get down here. So I guess this just ended up being a 4v5. And West Point, after winning that last fight, they didn't have time to reset and get the Dragon. And it looks like they opted to try get the Dragon, but without the resets coming through, they don't really have the gold to back it up. We'll find out what happened to Prage. Kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, people coming from all directions. And it seems like he was kind of left out to dry. Didn't really have anywhere to go. And I think you can accept this. One death, I think TP used, got the drag still, is fine. But the ultimate state of the game, 2 dragons is good, but down gold to the scaling comp, not too good. Especially look at the ADC difference right now. 30 CS as well as 3 assists. And a lot of plates, I think 3. I guess it was the Herald drop bot too, but it was shared. Nuli.
Oh, Nuli. Nice going to dodge out of that. Really nice reaction times to deny any sort of kill there onto himself. Now I want to point out there is a bit of a saving grace for West Point, given they have the 2 dragons, and while at a gold deficit, the vast majority of that gold is looking like it's largely on this Renekton as well as the Poppy. And so it isn't too bad. Obviously, it looks like Nuli ahead at the moment. Gonna be Glacial Prison used there on Shun, just for a little bit of a chunk. Rest, though.
Ooh.
Rally are finding so much damage onto him, but with Gemini in the area, is safe enough to walk away. Honeyfruit as well, so we'll get a lot of healing from that.
Yeah, now crossing mid is 665. You mentioned all the gold being on the Poppy and the Renekton, but while that is better, I think, for West Point in terms of the scaling, in the short term, it's very scary because your Ari, has a lot of gold, but has no way of killing tanks, really.
Oh, Prage.
He has no flash.
Okay, Chelsea coming out. Zap will land. That's going to come the cleanse, and the follow-up will get out that Featherstorm. So massive, massive find there. Daya no longer feeling safe, at least in this 2v2, but here we go on another Rift Herald fight.
Yeah, and I think, will Chelsea be sent up for this? It looks like no, so CFO have decided to give this one up. Maybe instead can start playing towards this bot tower, though, which is very, very low, and no tower has fallen, despite that Rift Herald being picked up for West Point before. I think 665 has to base and get to bot ASAP, but I think it's already too late.
It's gone.
Yeah, so that will be the first blood turret that will go the way.
Rest first rallier happens again. Counter-Strike used, but it will be answered with a stun of his own out of Rest. Looks like this matchup here is starting to favor the Jacks bit by bit. Divine Sunder, of course, picked up. See what Rest gets here. I don't think he can get much.
No, shouldn't have too many items. And 665, with that bot tower already gone, will deploy to the top side, but there isn't a great place really to use it. You know, mid tower is very healthy, and I don't think you get prio on that mid wave in that bot 2v2. And top lane also.
Rest is going to have to pop that dominance nice and early. Grandmaster's Might comes out of Relia, but walks away actually, paths backwards as he uses it. So it's just the ult trade. Rest, especially now that Relia is quite low on mana, should be fine to sit at tower, heal up with that Q. Or drinker available too if Relia does get in range. In fact, we saw it just there. 665 though is going to be found by Chelsea. He's now under the tower, stunned up. A follow-up from everyone, but his flash away. Maybe Jimmy's ult not really found correctly. Is able to survive. I don't think he should have.
Yeah, I think Jimmy was a bit too greedy there. Tried to hold it. Was maybe considering flash ulting too. And then unfortunately just didn't use it in time. Still though, I think it's pretty good for the side of CFO. They managed to disengage the Rift Herald play. There was a bot tower picked up by Nuli, which is nice. I mean, having more gold in your Ahri is good, but it's not really going to help you again with dealing with its Renekton Poppy. You need some gold on Prage, otherwise it's just going to be impossible to kill the front line.
Absolutely, and Kraken Slayer, importantly, is here on Prage now, so we'll have a bit of damage, ult back up as well as flash. Crown again on the Azir. We're seeing this fairly consistently. We also saw Victor yesterday pick up that crown. I don't know how I like it. I guess it gives you a bit of survivability, but again, against the Xayah, feels like Xayah can proc that fairly easily.
I kind of don't like it, but maybe he wants to use it to engage. We'll see.
True.
Oh, Gemini. Was that a real flash or a hex flash?
I think it was the real flash, yeah. It sounded like the real flash.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't realize it was not hex flash.
I've done that before.
Yeah. Okay, Herald has dropped, but as you can see, there's no way for it to crash. So all these Heralds have kind of not amounted to a whole lot. Just resets for Jinx. Does give one, right?
Yeah, it does.
And a level up, it seems.
Wow.
This is the third drag here, though, for West Point, but they are unable to contest, and this is looking worrying signs. I mean, they do trade some gold back, but I think you're definitely starting to get towards CFO's territory. When you complete 2 items on both these carries, I think you're already in trouble as West Point. And Mountain Drag is another one that's very difficult to deal with, especially with this Ahri and that really beefy front line.
Yeah, okay, so Phage picked up here from the Renekton. Now, typically we do see Black Cleaver second, but Phage not a component of that item, so what do you think he's going for? There's the Hullbreaker, Steeraxe would probably be the two.
Yeah, probably the Steeraxe.
Hold up, Gemini finding massive damage here onto Char. In fact, the Wild Growth as well is going to be used here. Ult available for Poppy as he's okay to just walk away.
Let's just get out there. Testament to how tanky he is, but as you were saying, I think it will probably be the Steeraxe. We'll see.
Yeah, it would make sense. I think a lot of Xayah's damage, at least at this stage, will come from Burst, as Noli finding a nice fight here against Jimmy, and who is out of mana. There is still one Spirit Rush available as well. Relia waits in the wings. Flash for Jimmy, and he's going to have to flash the charm.
Ooh.
He will.
Here's the tower.
Now, yeah, okay, so now he's really stuck here. There's Chelsea coming to defend him, and is going to be fine. But I think, importantly, getting that tower out of Azir in such a bad place is quite important here. If they were ever looking to siege up, that tower can offer quite a lot in terms of defense from flank. And good fight, ultimately, I think, from Nuli.
Yeah, I feel like Nuli has really done what he can in this game. Had a good laning phase up against Jimmy, and nice TP on bot and a nice play there. And it is difficult. You've got to pick a mid. Ooh, Shun has cleanse.
Oh, okay. Well played by him to respect that.
Yeah, Shun, this is the second time he's been Sedge altered and not had to use the cleanse. Kind of feels like the engages just aren't quite there. Baron is spawning sort of soon. There's a lot of DPS from CFO. If they can find some picks, would not be surprised to see them head towards that whatsoever.
Okay, here comes Chelsea. Okay, the knock up. There is no real follow-up to come through, though, so Prage doesn't have to commit any of his important cooldowns. And I think that is really, really important now that Baron is on the cards. Both of these teams should do it reasonably quick. Jax, if he's able to join as well, adds a lot, especially while paired with the Sejuani. And then, of course, Azir Jinx, some of the 2 highest DPS characters there are.
Ooh.
Wow.
Close there. Now CFO, they're going to be the ones to retake this top side vision control. And it looks like, most likely, we'll just be waiting towards this next drag, although CFO now sieging mid.
Sure.
Have all 5 members here.
Yeah, Gemini will be found out here by 665, so blank won't be possible, but a lot of damage found. Shun, obviously, on this Jinx will absolutely tear through towers if given the chance to attack them.
Gemini's been looked at, but there really isn't the damage to take him out.
You know, I wonder if Rest is just going to go Hullbreaker and commit to constantly matching Rallier.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's good just to shut down any side lane win condition, knowing that you're going to win the 5v5 no matter what. It'll be interesting to see what he ends up going for. And 665, he keeps looking towards this Baron, but unfortunately they don't have the damage, so just checking, clearing out vision.
Now, Rallier picked up a Black Cleaver now, so at least in the side lane, until we see what comes through second item from Rest, should have a huge advantage. Is constantly leaping forward, and you like to see this out of Rallier. This is probably the best game he's had so far, I'd have to say. Even though they have won a game, I think he's looked pretty consistent up against one of the Goliaths, you'd have to say, in the top lane pool of the PCS.
Sterak's was completed by Rest.
Okay,
so
Sterak's. So team fight.
yeah. I have to say, I think it is a decent game from West Point overall. Obviously, CFO, they are playing more for scaling, but even despite of that, I feel like we've seen CFO absolutely dominate some teams, even with scaling comps.
Yeah.
So West Point being able to, you know, keep this even, at least for now, and 2 drags to their name, it's a decent look, but now, once again, another chance at a 3rd dragon for West Point. I think they do need to fight these, because the longer the game goes, the worse it's going to get. And if they can't trade anything, you know, Barons or Towers, I'm not sure what else they can do. We'll see, though. 35 more seconds. You're going to see a lot of priority put towards this mid wave. Whoever has control of this has first move into that bot river.
One nice thing I just noticed about Jimmy is he's walking through these unwarded places and putting his soldier, over a wall, so if anything does happen to him, he can quickly escape. I think there's a nice little tip there as his ear.
665, he's very tanky. But it's not going to last long once the team fight starts.
Yeah, second item, Gale Force available now on Shun. So I think still you have a good chance to be able to win these team fights. I think right now Prage should be the stronger AD carry, but once some armor pen comes through, I think that scale starts to tip more towards Shun on the Jinx. There's all coming out just for vision around the Baron.
Yeah, so they're going to check it, and I'm not sure what West Point are up to. It feels like you needed to at least trade something for that if you're going to give up the drag. Maybe like topside vision or pressure towards that top tier 2. They have river vision, so it's better than nothing.
All charm landed onto Gemini as well as the frozen prison, but he's okay. He gets away on half health, so again, a little bit of pressure given here to West Point as they should be able to set up a lot of vision and control around this topside river, which is the most important part of the map.
Yeah, oh, maybe looking at Gemini again.
Yeah, Gemini didn't go back. Flash does go, and they are able to, at least for now, survive. But Prage flashing forward. Newly picks up that kill, and now Rest teleporting in. In fact, Chelsea's going in. He's in the middle of 4. Rest flashes in. 665 taking no damage in the wild growth on the Xayah. Prage finding so much as Chelsea limps away. But it's Rest. It's Rest in the middle of 4. He's found one. He's finding a second. 665 now the target as Newly does negative damage with the Everfrost. It is going to end the fight there. 2 for 3, but Rest causing absolute havoc in the middle of West Point's team.
He's just unkillable. It kind of shows the weakness of the West Point comp there. Once the Xayah is gone and the Jax is in the backline, Ahri just doesn't offer enough damage. And I think it's a big issue again with the Ahri with the Sejuani. Feels like probably should have been something like a Victor that comes out here, even though it's a bit riskier. But we'll get a replay of it. So they find Gemini again. This is a great pick from West Point. And the flash from Gemini, I feel like he kind of has to, but also, you know, kind of secures, I guess, his death. Was flash forward used by Prage, and I really like what Chelseaa did here. He tried to push Prage into the fight. Unfortunately, it's just hard to click on him at that point. But take a look at Rest. You know, in the 1v4 here, and there still isn't enough damage to take him out. He takes out Xayah very early. Yeah, and there's just no damage left. There really isn't, and he can just walk forward unimpeded, takes out another one. Would have taken out all 4 if they kept fighting him.
Yeah, I think that Gore Drinker, as well as the Empowered Q and Sterak's, just meant there was no way to take him out. And look at that damage.
5.6k.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, now Baron being started, in fact, being kind of melted by CFO. West Point responding a bit late. Here comes the Shirelias, and it's 665 in the front, but half health onto this Baron. Chelsea knocking away the Sejuani. Relia in the back line is not going to be able to look at anything for now as Rest does mark him. Nuli, though, looking for a charm. Well, nothing. It's just a free Baron. There's no follow-up able to be had, and CFO kind of sneak that one away for free.
Yeah. Oh,
all fight is happening though. Relia finding a lot of damage on Rest. Now that is a man who can take down the Croc.
Yeah, he does have quite a bit of damage for himself. Relia, we'll see. Maybe he can be the one to turn this around, but it feels like CFO's comp has already reached kind of all the breakpoints it needs. And up a pretty good amount of gold here. 2 drags to 2. I really don't think you need anything more as CFO. Can honestly just look to use this Baron, maybe take down some tier 2s. Would be surprised to see the base broken early, but the longer this game goes, the easier it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, what do you do now? I think West Point can look for picks. Zaya, Ari, as well as Sejuani is very strong at doing so, but all that means is that CFO, if they stay relatively grouped up, should not be any risk for them, at least coming into the later stages of this game.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think Nuli needs to be able to find some access to the back line because they're not going to win a front-to-back. Somehow he has to flank the Azir, flank the Jinx, and he has a lot of damage. He's got that Horizon focus and is working on the Rabadons. So a nice game played from Nuli so far, but will he be able to kind of bring this game into his team's favor? If he can hit a Flash Charm or something onto a carry, I could see West Point winning a fight, but it's so hard to get to these carries in the first place.
Yeah. Work starting to be done here on these inners as Shun is not going to get hit. It's Chelsea who tanks it up for them, and with Sejuani ult down, I feel like CFO should be very, very safe here in pretty much all of their lanes.
Yeah, they get their bots here too. Alistair ult was traded out as well. And I wonder, will CFO just look towards the drag instead of this tier 2? I think can play it ultra safe here. Shouldn't really feel like they're racing the clock by any means.
Yeah, and it's third dragon for them too.
And the mountains make it even more difficult, I feel like. Because if these carries don't get bursted down, it's just impossible.
Nice out of Char. Defo setting up for a bit of a bait there, but Char warding it out. Will spot them. Now, forward goes Rest. He's going to get snared up, but it's now Gemini in the middle of 4. He's just going to get absolutely evaporated. Zaya doing enough damage for sure. There is not really any follow-up, though. Importantly, that Glacial Prison is down. Azir Tower comes out. Are CFO going to continue forward? I feel like you certainly can't. Not without that Poppy.
Yeah, and maybe could West Point somehow get the drag here? I'm not sure if they can. They don't have the greatest health bars.
Yeah.
So if they commit to this, you know...
Glacial Prison almost up.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I mean, they could probably get the drag, but I wonder if CFO can just run down mid with Jinx's ear and maybe take an inhib.
Well, they certainly are for now, and that is the Baron buff going down, so it will be a little bit slower, but Rest is going in. Rest is in the middle of 4. He's looking... No, he's not. He's going to slice and dice back out of there as inhib tower now taken, backing out, being respectful of the possibility of Relia coming. In fact, he is, but he... Looking like he's now the target. Zap number 2 lands, headbutt pulverized. Counter-strike coming out at just the time, but it's Rest who's going to claim that one for himself.
And Baron now gone, but can CFO get more? I think they can.
Flash available on both these bot laners as Jimmian perhaps not got the moves like Minji.
No, but did get both sums out of Char. Feels pretty good. So, all said and done, no inhibs fell. But it was, again, more gold for CFO. Now West Point, despite being down a significant amount, they do have some sort of win condition, which is hitting that 4th drag. Now, if that's enough, I'm not sure it is enough to bring them to a teamfight win. But if they can get another fight like the last one where they can get a pick early, maybe they have a chance.
And what do you think of Ari's build?
I'm not a huge fan of the Horizon focus, but... overall, I like it. I think that maybe we could have gone for a bit more damage, you know, something like Luden's Shadow Flame or Leandre's Shadow Flame Rabadons. But I overall like what he's looking for. I think he needs to be able to deal damage to the backline, and mostly he's got that here. It still feels so difficult, though. If you're relying on Ari to be your big damage threat, it feels like something's kind of gone wrong. But to his credit, he has played a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rallia now absolutely cannot walk anywhere near this Azir. Quickly loses a good chunk of his health. Okay, Nuli, Char sitting around. Char will take away that ward. The problem is the team of CFO just constantly have rest. Gemini and Shao see first. As we're seeing that in action here. And because of that, how are you supposed to look for a charm on an important member as Nuli? You've got to get first through the Poppy and her W. There's an Azir ult, there's Flame Chompers, Alistar Headbutt. It's just so hard to really look for any angle onto Shun or Jimmian.
Yeah, it does feel like an impossible task here for Nuli, but he's going to have to do the impossible if he wants to pick up his win. Hopefully he can get his Rabadons before Baron comes up. Baron should be spawning pretty soon. And Rabadon's now completed for Jimmy, and if that guy's left untouched, he is going to absolutely destroy West Point's front line.
Yeah. Rallia does pick up his Zhonya's. Seen that quite often here on the Jax, particularly post-rework.
Okay, Rabadon's now completed by Nuli, just in time for this next Baron.
Oh, there's a fight going on everywhere. Down bottom it's the two tops, but up here it's 665 getting caught out. Nuli will teleport in, but have to look down bottom. If Rallia is able to get the better of Rest, it could be really good, but for now at least, looks like Rest winning that one out, and Baron now the point of focus for CFO. Nuli coming across. A lot has to be found by him if anything's going to be stopped, but it's only him. He's looking for a steal. It's not going to happen. Rage and Char headed bottom, so Rest has to be wary.
Well, just like that, CFO, they get a Baron, I think... Oh,
wow.
Jinx Rocket.
Wow, Shun has sniped Rallia. Okay, that just makes things from bad to worse. That does.
Yeah. Now he's got 4 items on this Jinx, and it feels like now West Point can't really hold on. With the base already broken and huge items on the carries here, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to hold. They have decent enough wave clear, but it's so hard. You kind of want to engage on a team that's baroning waves, but can you really engage onto CFO's comp? It doesn't feel like it. Oh, they're pushing up mid. Now, do have to wait for Rest to push in that bot wave, so should play a little slow here on this mid wave. Have the Azir tower to defend them. Feels very good for sieging with Baron.
Yeah. Now, importantly, I think Prage does have the items to be able to deal some damage now. Finally is able to pick up that LDR. But is it going to come to fruition? In fact, no, it's not for now. It's Nuli going a bit aggressive on those charms. Flash stunned against the wall, grounded by the steadfast presence. And that is a 4v5 now for CFO. 665 finally lands an ult there onto Jimmian. But with that ult comes their demise. It's Rest eliminating Prage, and Shun from downtown again. He's found himself a double kill. They're going to win, and just like we thought, the scaling comes through. CFO take it, find their 5th win here of the PCS.
And that was a sad way to lose, I think, for Nuli. He played really well all game, but unfortunately at the end was picked, and hey, once he was dead, there really just wasn't anything left for West Point. I think West Point, they did keep it even for a lot of that, but despite that, you never felt like they were winning, because CFO, they did have that outscaling comp the whole time, and with such a solid teamfight composition, I think West Point probably needed to get more than they did in the early game to get ahead. Part of it is I think that they were a little outdrafted. I'm not a huge fan of the Ahri with the Sejuani. They kind of made it work, but didn't really feel that impactful.
Yeah, I wonder, had they have gone the Akali?
Yeah,
Akali
I would
pairs
like the
nice
Akali
with the Sejuani, and then it does give you accessibility towards those backlines. I think Akali much better at finding sort of the Jinx, the Azir, than the Ahri will be, especially as the game progresses. And as you said, I think Nuli played as well as he really could have. He had 1 death, and that death led to the end of the game. But to be fair, it was a pretty bad death, I feel like, but unnecessary to be standing that far up. But I think back over to CFO, credit to them. Bounced back from yesterday's defeat to J-Team, and they looked really, really good here. Going for the scaling option, remained even during the early phase, gave over objectives like they needed to, and then once they were able to contest the objectives, contested them, and found them all, and eventually it just led to so many items on Shun and Jimmy, and as well as Rest, I have to say. And that was all they needed.
Yeah, speaking of Rest, I think if I were thinking MVPs, I'm definitely thinking Rest or Gemini. It felt like that top jungle did a really good job. Obviously, the carries were very fed, right? 107 on Azir, and I think 605 on the Jinx there. But I really felt like it was that top jungle, the Renekton and the Poppy, that kind of got them there in the first place. And that's so important. Obviously, if your carries are really skilled, they can make the best of a bad situation. But if